culture. So essentially, it's the idea of putting songs together, more or less improvised, like in a jazz session. Okay, so this is the idea. Now, you see, mashup is used in different contexts, and the one we're going to look into is this one here, which is basically definition given here says that a mashup in a web development is a web page or a web application. So the idea is that you have data coming from other applications, and then they all converge in some specific way that is designed by the user, and then it's manipulated by the user in some way to be displayed. One classic way of displaying that is using a map, and I'm going to show you some examples how to do that. Let me go back to the slides of Jonathan. So I need to do this kind of back and forth between this and that. So what Jonathan says, and I'm not sure whether I completely agree with this, he says, why build software when you can improve other people's? So this doesn't mean that, I hope this doesn't mean that you shouldn't really learn how to design software, implement software, okay? It is that you shouldn't really reinvent the wheel. So if there's something already implemented, and you can make use of it, and you can go beyond that, then do it. Another way of seeing it is that you could say, I want to use other people's software to compare mine against theirs. Okay, but the topic of this lecture is basically to use applications, put together the output of some applications to make your own application, which is basically a merge of all the data that can be accrued by this, or delivered or output by these applications. So the first example that it gives is this one here. I can actually go to the website. Maybe it's better if I do. Okay, right, I can do it here. See if I can. And now I have to find. So I've got a few windows open. It's not this. It's probably the last one, as usual. There's an application like this one here that says. I hope it's there somewhere. Yeah, it is. It's basically a way of finding the nearest fast food. Unfortunately, I was looking at it today, and unfortunately this works only for the United States of America, so USA. But, so essentially, here you can select the state. So for instance, I can go to New York. Where is it? NY. Okay. And then it's going to load. I hope it's going to go to New York. Select. Okay. Okay, and it sends you to Manhattan there. And then you have all sorts of things. And those things are basically, I'm sorry, but I cannot fit this. Those things are basically here. So all rubbish food, let's be honest. McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell. Not sure why there's no Subway there, but Wendy's and so on. KFC is a bit better. Then what you can do, you can actually select or unselect these, and then those appear, disappear according to that. And then what you can do, you can actually click on that, and then it gives you the more information about that specific fast food place. This is a mashup, okay, that combines basically Google Maps, push pins, which are these guys here, information which is displayed there, but can be displayed as an information window. I'm going to show you in a second something that a student of mine, finally a student of mine, delivered a couple of weeks ago. And then all those are basically situated where the restaurant is, if you can call those restaurants. Now, until possibly before I saw this, I didn't know that I had already worked on that. I didn't know, I wasn't calling it mashup, but that's what it is. And in fact, a student of mine, if I found it here, delivered a mashup as part of a course that I partially teach in programming theory, which is called Google Maps API. And essentially it's very similar to the previous one, where I asked them to create these push pins with some information. Let me scroll down the, this is Norway, because he's a Norwegian guy. And he not only he has this information window, so if you click on the push pin, the information window appears, but it's got embedded video and pictures. Okay, so this is a helicopter picture from the city. So essentially this is a mashup because it combines video clip, map, and then some information about geographic information about the place where he was born, apparently. And then the other thing I asked him to do is, because it's basically to do a tour. So this is written in JavaScript and HTML5. So what it does, essentially automatically displays information. It pinpoints the location. So you see this is the kind of nostalgic colonial Norwegian guy that shows all the regions which are still under Norway, and then a little bit of history. And what it does basically zooms in. So this was the assignment, zooming in, and each time you zoom in by a certain amount, then you stop for a few seconds, then you display in the information window what that location can give you. And then it's even got the anthem in the end, so it's really, really nostalgic. But this is the idea. So this is basically a student-delivered mashup that I didn't know was called mashup. I just called it Google Maps API assignment. But this is an idea. So things that you can do with a mashup are quite powerful. And if I go back to the slides, let's see. Oops. So things usually look like this. So you have an idea. So you want to design something, an application clearly. All applications must be either for desktop or for mobile phone. And then what you do, you need to figure out where to get hold of the data from, okay? And then you need to figure out what tools you can use, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, so you don't want to re-implement everything from scratch. And I'm going to show you how this tool provided by Yahoo works, which is called Yahoo Pipes. And then once you've done all that, then you can create this kind of a pipeline of information. So first of all, you organize in CSV, so comma separated values, which is a typical Excel sheet, your data, which could be either generated by you or imported by another application. You have then to publish that, and one way of doing it is Kisser. Now, if you look at the slides of Jonathan, and if you look at all the suggestions of Jonathan, they all point to tools which are basically not free of charge. So essentially what happens is that, for instance, Kisser allows you to have like one website only, and then a number of accesses to this website. If you go beyond that, you have to pay. Okay. So you have to be careful, because if you do that for the company, then you might have to analyze how much money that costs. But if not, then you need to find some kind of open source. So Kisser, for instance, doesn't do that. Well, Dropbox. I'm not sure how many of you use Dropbox. Only one person.
I use it.
All right. Dropbox has a public folder. So in that public folder, you can store. Let me show you mine. In that public folder, you can store this one here. Actually, it's the nice one. You can store data, and if you remember the previous slide, was showing that this comma separated value, so this kind of Excel sheet, has to be available on in public, so published. And this is one way of doing it, and this is free of charge. Okay. Well, Kisser, you can do that, but it's got limitations. Of course, even Dropbox has got limitations. I mean, you have only an amount of a certain amount of megabytes or gigabytes. But you know, you have more leverage there. That once you've done that, then, for instance, you might want to convert data which, for instance, represents postcodes and people living at those postcodes to locations, and then you want to show that. And Yahoo Pipes does exactly that. Let me show you how. So I've got a few things here. Incidentally, if you looked at, I think it's available, it's still available, the video recorded of Jonathan Briggs actually delivering this lecture. In that video, he was publishing the Excel sheets on Google Sheets, but it's no longer possible to publish comma-separated value sheets online. Okay, so you have to find another way, and the other way is the one I just mentioned, so using Dropbox or using Kisser if you want to do that. So I need to find okay. So I had a problem here, which was for result beyond my comprehension, the map is not displayed, but it should display. So for instance, you have, let me show you first of all how Yahoo Pipes work. So for Yahoo Pipes, you have to go to, I think it's called pipes.yahoo.com. You have to register again. So you have to register for everything, all these tools. And then you enter pipes. So you basically end up, once you're registered, you end up in this home website. And then what you can do, you can create a pipe. The browser is not so good, okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I think I chose Explorer, which is a bad choice anyway. Or my machine I'm using Safari, which is not good either. But so you can do things like you can define the source from which your data can come. So for instance, I'm going to show you in a second an example with comma-separated values, so essentially an Excel sheet in a particular format. But also fetch feed, where you can actually get data from an RSS. Okay, so news from, for instance, BBC or CNN website, or maybe another website of your interest. There are many things you can do with this. Clearly, I cannot show you all, also because I am not an expert in this tool, but I've been playing a little bit the last few weeks. So you can create a loop. So you've done some programming, I suppose. So you can basically create almost like a program on this by dragging and dropping in that space, and then you can create basically links between them. And for the first example, which I'm going to show you here, you get a very simple one. Sorry for this. So you get fetch feeds. So from that, from this specific RSS, which is Apple, Hot News, As Paolo can tell you, I'm an Apple fanatic. So from this feed of news, which is on the Apple website, you can fetch information. So again, this website, RSS website, has to be public. Okay, it cannot be on your machine, as far as I understood. Then what you can do, let's say that you don't have that yet. You create a filter. So essentially, the way you do it is basically under operators. You have a filter somewhere, if I can see here. You click here. Oops. You click here. Okay, you click here. You drop there. Okay, and then you start populating it. Okay, the filter lets you choose the items, which in this specific case are the news, which have to be blocked. So those that you want to be blocked, and those that are permitted. So essentially filtering in and filtering out. So these are two options: block and permit. And then here it's any or all. So you can create, essentially you can create some rules. And then you have to say item.description, for instance, which is what I use underneath here. And then you can say contains, does not contain, matches, rejects, is greater than, is less than, and so on and so forth. If those are numbers. Okay. So for example, you could play with dates. So you could have all the news that come from Apple that are within a certain time window. And then that contain, for instance, I don't know, iPad and iPod, just to give you an example, okay, or iPhone. What I did here is essentially all the item description that contains London. So that all the news that are going to be selected are those that are about London. Clearly, if there are any, nothing will be displayed. And then you can have more rules, not only one. So if you click here, it will open a new container, and then you can let me show you. You can say rules, and then you get another one, or you can remove it. Okay. And then the good thing is that it's almost therapeutic. You can actually link them, and that's why they're called pipes. So you link this with that. This is a very old scheme. There was in image processing, there was something called Cantata ages ago that could do that for image processing. It could create a pipeline of image processing filters where you pipe in an image and then that's filtered in different ways. Very, very old, this paradigm. But the idea is clear. And then the beauty, this is beautiful, you know. If you do that, then you see it disappears behind. So it can do fantastic things. And this is a pipe out, okay? So pipe out is always, so you always get this, which is the output. Then the other thing is that you have here, you see here at the bottom, you have, yes, I got the debugging, so you can, let me scroll a bit further. You can have pipe outputs. So inside here you have like already some kind of debugging information, fetch, feed, and filter. But usually pipe output is quite interesting because it gives you see here that immediately you see that there's an iTunes festival kickoff in London, and Apple announces 8th annual iTunes festival in London. So you get all the information. It's quite powerful, this tool, because you can literally assemble different information from completely different applications and then make it converge basically to your application and then filter it and then put it together. So this is what a mashup is. And then what you can do, you can save it. Well, I haven't really done anything, but since I snapped, I cut basically a couple of bytes, then is for sanity check, basically it recompiles. And then you run the pipe, and the pipe comes here with a list, and you see here these are the kind of information about from Apple about London, and there you have a lot more. And you can imagine that if you had the information, the geographical information where these things are going to happen, you can actually display on a map. And that's the cool thing, as the Apple people would say. Okay, this is one example. The other example is a slightly more complicated. I created an Excel sheet where you have name on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side you have postcode. Now, the way I create a postcode, crazy enough, I didn't know this, there's a tool that lets you create random postcodes. Let me find it for you.
You're on it.
Was I on it? No.
Scroll more.
Postcode example? No, that's not it. There's incredible. I thought I had it. Okay, here we go. So it's called random postcode generator. So essentially, imagine you want to in your mashup you want to create randomly generated postcodes, because you want to test your mashup with real postcodes. Okay. If you don't have the postcode properly formatted and that exists, then your geolocation wouldn't work. Okay. So you come here, or you have a way, you have like a web bot, a robotic web that can actually, like a piece of software that can click this for you, generate the postcode for you, and then you collect that postcode information, and then you feed it inside your pipes. You see here, for instance, you create a new one. Each time there's a new one, there's indication where it is, and there's also latitude and longitude. Okay, you see at the bottom there. And that gives you what latitude and longitude are?
Yeah.
All of you, right? Okay.
No.
No? Those are the coordinates on a map. So it's like the X and Y on the map. So it basically pinpoints the position in space in the world. And those are degrees. Okay. So, well, if you ever take programming 3, I will teach programming in the second semester of programming 3. I teach you Google Maps API, and I tell you all about that anyway. So then again, if you click as much as you want, and then as many times as you want, and you'll generate new postcodes. So essentially, what I did that I created this postcode name Excel sheet, and then I saved this. I suppose you know how to save this as save it as comma separated values. And as I said before, the only downside of this is that it has to be, first of all, it has to be CSV, because if I understood well, Yahoo Pipes doesn't take anything else. And second of all, it has to be publicly available, so it has to be published somewhere. And as I said before, what you can do, you can upload it to your Google Maps. So your Dropbox. Okay. So for instance, you see public, my postcodes is there. Okay. Now there is a way to.
Can it be on your website?
Sorry?
Can it be on your website?
Your
Your own website.
If you upload it as CSV, then yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what you can do, you can then run another pipes. What's it? Which is the one I was showing anyway. Postcode example. I think it's this one. Let me show you the source first. It's a bit more complicated. So you get fetch CSV, which is different from the one before. Before I was fetching data, so RSS data. You have to have your Dropbox or your website address that takes you to the CSV file, and then they're usually separated by commas. You say use the first row as column names, because usually you have. Do you remember that my
postcode and names?
These are the names, so the titles basically each column. So what they qualify. So this column here is qualified as a list of names, and this one is qualified as list of postcodes. Okay. So essentially, what you do, you tell Yahoo Pipes to take the first row as column names. So it's going to use those, and then you feed it to a loop, and that loop is a bit like C, Java. You using Java now or C?
Yeah, Java.
Java. Okay. It's like in Java. So you do for each item in that list. So essentially, it takes row by row. It takes the location as item.postcode. Okay, it's a bit like classes. And then assigns the result to items.loop location builder.
That's like SQL in databases.
Most likely, yeah. So essentially, you have item.loop with a location builder. Location builder takes basically one at a time the results, okay, and then it feeds them to a rename. Why do we do that? We do that because the geolocator needs to have specific titles. So for instance, the name should be title, the postcode should be the description, for instance, but this is very important. So you have item.loop location builder dot, I think it's lat, and the second is long, so latitude and longitude. And those are converted to geo colon lat and geo colon long, and those are then fed to the extractor, and the location extractor essentially puts that on a map. Okay, and if you run this, as I said before, I don't know why, and let me know please, because I'm quite curious. I haven't found anybody complaining about this, and I tried only on Mac machines, but the Yahoo map, you see here, there should be a map that could display only, for instance, satellite information, the hybrid information. So it should be a map behind here, but it doesn't display it. The rest is fine. The whole thing works. Not only works, but you could run. You see here there are options at the top. If you click on KML, what it does, it calls Google Earth, and then displays. Of course, you have to have Google Earth installed on your machine. I don't know if it works, maybe. I think I had it already. It takes, you see here, it takes that geolocated information, and then it basically prints the names on using pins, Mary, Frank, Laura, Pippa, and so on and so forth. And Paolo here, which is KT1 to EE, which is King's University. Okay. This was the only way I could show you the map, unfortunately. But if you click here, so if you click on next, you see here it shows the name and the description. If you click next, it tells you gives you the next one. So Frank. As I said before, if I had not used the postcode generator, I would never be able to do this, because these are real location in space on the map, Mary and so on and so forth. And then it basically loops over them. And then you have the list as well. So you have a map and a list of those two tabs one displays the information on the map, the other displays information as a list. So with the name, and essentially it prints out the Excel sheet. The last example is something that for me is a little bit more interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure how much you know about earthquakes, but if you go to the usgs.gov, the main US research center for earthquakes information, then you can get hold of CSV data, or even real-time data about earthquakes. Okay, so that comes with the time, latitude, and longitude. So it's the location where the earthquake is, or was actually, depth. So how deep it was, the magnitude type, and so on and so forth. And then the last one is basically place, which is where the earthquake actually occurred. So for instance, the first one was in California, second was in let's see here, Solomon Islands, and then California again. You know that there are apart from the Ring of Fire in the Pacific, California is part of that. There are other areas which are prone to earthquakes. So essentially, you can save this on. There are two ways of doing that. Either you can save this on a public website, or you can actually collect it directly. So if you have a way, again, if you have a web bot that extracts the information real time, then you can in real time pipe it out and display it on the map. Of course, this is just an example because you know that USGS has even got iOS and Android maps with real-time information about earthquakes. You don't need to do that. This is just a simple example. So I have that. Let's see if it works. Again, I have to show you as a quick example. Let me show the source first of all. This is a bit simpler in a way, very similar to the postcode example. So you have, you see here, you fetch CSV. This is the website. So this is actually where the CSV file is. And this is not on my Dropbox. This is on the USGS website. And this was all day. Okay, so every day clearly that's updated. Comma separated things, items, and then the rows. The first row is taken as names. And then what I wanted to do, I wanted not to display everything, but I wanted to take only the things which are of interest to me. So the title that is mapped, the title which is mapped into the place, so location where the earthquake took place, and then latitude and longitude. And you see here, these guys are exactly the same as those I showed you before. And if you look at the bottom here, do you remember that we had, by the way, and then the rest is the same. So location extraction, extractor, and then pipe out. So if you see here, pipe out is the bottom. But if in the debugger you have location, you have pipe output, then refresh. Then you get information which is already formatted, and you see that it's already formatted, and it's just for the Yahoo pipes to grab. Okay, so you see here, for instance, Calipatria in California in 2015, which is actually this was actually today. So this is actually collected today. Okay. Depth 1.1, magnitude 2.15, which is not that much, and then you have other details. But the most important one, the critical ones are these here. The location is actually stored into this y variable that keeps track of I'm not sure about the quality, but keeps are called latitude and longitude. Okay, and that's the one essentially that you index by renaming in this way. Okay, and then essentially you run it. You can run it from here. Not sure why it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't appear there. So you get the maps, and you see here the maps display that information. And again, you can save it as KML. And if you save it as KML, check, it goes there, maybe. Okay, so I'm not sure what happens. Let me try again. Yes. This doesn't look like California. Okay, strange. Let me try the previous one. No, this takes me back to the UK. Okay, not sure what happens, but you understood the gist of it. Okay, so then you can display with the Google Maps, which Google Earth, which is a lot better than anything else anyway. So these were examples with Yahoo pipes. Oops. So I basically covered some of the slides that Jonathan had created, and Yahoo pipes are not the only tool that you can use to create mashup. There's this one here. I started using it yesterday, but the problem with this is that, again, you need to log in, you need to give your information. Then once you have, it might be they're limited. So for instance, this one here is, they call it IFT, and they say, pronounce it like gift without a G. It sounds like one of those American things. Okay, so basically is IFT. And the idea is that you have, if an application triggers, then something happens in an application. It's like an if then else. For me, this is a little bit limiting. And an example I had yesterday, if I find it. It's probably here. Yeah. So for instance, you can do things like if it's overcast or sunny, then send me an email, things like that. And there are not many, if understood well, in the basic free of charge IFT, there are not many options you can choose. And I'm not sure how much control you can get of on the amount of information, the type of information you can feed in, you can actually feed out. Okay. This sounds more like a game, more than anything else. But all these things are business orientated, mainly because most of these things that Jonathan discusses here, includes here, you see, for instance, I don't know if you call to call, I'm not sure how this works. I mean, I don't know if you receive a call, then you check, the calendar triggers. If you receive an email, then something happens in the Dropbox.
Auto download.
Sorry?
It says auto download to the Dropbox.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought this was quite limiting, and then I started playing with Twilio. And again, I didn't want to log in onto Twilio because you have to give them your mobile phone number. Once you give them that, then I'm going to start sending you text messages. So the idea here is very similar, I suspect, where basically you something happens and then they send you a text message to your mobile phone. Okay, these are, in my opinion, the Yahoo pipes are very powerful. Pushover, I didn't check. You can actually check yourselves. Dash I was actually playing with this morning. This is more interesting, although it's, let me show you how it works. Although again, it's not as, it doesn't give you essentially the degree of flexibility that pipes give you. So I'll say these more modern tools are more for people who don't want to code, essentially, or not interested in understanding the data, how data is formatted, and so on and so forth. So that you can simply say, if this happens in this application, then this is triggered in the other application, without understanding what sort of trigger that is. If I can find it, it must be somewhere because I had it here. Which one is 3? Is that this one?
Yeah, please.
But you can easily, I can easily log in. So it's a the-dash.com. Again, you have to log in. So sign up for free. So if I can count. I'm already in. So you see again billing. So essentially here. They give you a certain amount of functionality, and beyond that, you need to pay for. Okay, and you have to give all your information here. And let's say my dash. I had the first, so you can essentially create a dashboard, and the way you create a dashboard is by adding things to the dashboard, such as the news, the time, the weather. So you create things which are a mashup, basically. But you can already do this in Windows and in Mac. You have the dashboard, so you can create. Sorry?
Gadgets.
Yeah. So, but you see, for instance, if you click here, you can add an image, rectangle, circle. It's, I don't know, local, so the weather, nest temperature, I'm not sure whether it is the clock. Social, so for instance, if you want to, so it's a way basically of embedding your information on the dashboard and keeping it on the side, so that is automatically updated. So for instance, Instagram, so pictures that you might have taken during the day. And the funny thing, I was actually laughing when I saw that you cannot change the background unless you have the premium version of the thing. So you see Yahoo Pipes doesn't have this limitation. And also Yahoo Pipes allows you to grasp, to go down to a lower level dealing with the data. Of course, you need to learn how to do that. So you need to understand the data, which might be daunting. And there are some slides that are provided. I'm not sure were these slides available already?
No.
You know.
No.
So basically, essentially, you see the Mumbai, the weather, and then visit to Flora, Australia, things like that with a dash. But to see here, what do we want to do? We find the data on other sites or services, APIs, turn the data into a standard form of JSON, convert that data into a form that we can present HTML and display on the dashboard. Okay. So in a way, it's another way of doing that. And then there are other possibilities. This was a website that he created, so it's clearly no longer available. So maybe it should be removed. But the reason why the last message of Jonathan was basically the reason why mashups are important is because they're part of a bigger distributed software trend called service orientation. Okay. And if you go to, let me show you service orientation definition. If you go to Wikipedia, you can actually read all about that. Then I'm going to give you an indication of a very good book, good chapter that I found on mashups, which is a bit old. But, so it's a design paradigm to build computer software in the form of services. So the idea is basically that to move from application to services, and it's essentially distributed, it's modular, scalable, and so on and so forth. Now, sorry, I need to switch back to the other one, which is the other 2 points, the final 2 points. So the mashups allow programmers to build complex systems using components, service your data from other systems, or rapid prototyping. Okay, these are good things. What do you think the bad things are of a mashup?
Privacy.
Yes, perfect. That's one. And then another one, another big one. Privacy is really a very good one. Thank you. What can happen in a mashup? What's unpredictable?
No more links.
No more?
If you don't have the link.
Yes, exactly. That's another big one.
It's
So
full of
basic-
bugs
Yeah.
sometimes.
So basically, imagine your data is coming from a website of a company that went bust, or the news, the RSS feed comes from a company which was bust. Then the pipes don't work anymore, so the mashup doesn't work anymore. So it's actually they're not only good things; they're also pretty bad things, and privacy is a very bad thing. Now, all that actually, those 2 things. It looks like you read this. In this chapter, which if you go to the mashup, and then again I have to go back to the previous. If you go to the, if you go here to the mashup, this one here, which is a book on Info Today, of Feature Darlene. It's a chapter on what is a mashup, and she's from the University of Saskatchewan in Canada, where the sun never shines. No, I'm joking. It's freaking cold there in winter. But apart from that, you can even ski, if I remember well. This is a very good chapter where you have, you see, this opened my eyes, essentially. She said, oh, this is a mashup. And I thought, this is exactly what I asked my student to do, finally a student to do, for their assignment in Google Maps API. It's not much different from that. So essentially you have, have you seen her affiliation? She's a University of Saskatchewan library. Okay, so she's I'm not sure she's a librarian, but basically she's in the library information service department of it is. So you see here, this is a library, then you have information about the library, general building hours, and so on and so forth. And this is basically this is called information window in Google Maps API jargon. And this is created by associating that to a push pin. So you can have it open or closed according to whether you click on the push pin or you dismiss the information pin. And then here you can change the map as if you are on Google Maps, clearly, because this is associated with Google Maps. And then you have some kind of legend at the bottom here, color codis or research. This is not in color, but clearly the original was in color. So you have red, blue, and green. and then you could have different. You don't necessarily have to have standard drop-like push pins. You could have icons that, for instance, look like a building indicating a library, and so on and so forth. This is very good, and he explains. You see, like top 20 viral videos with Susan Boyd, and
Not really.
and then she talks about the mashup ecosystem, and then in the end she goes saying exactly what you guys came up with, which is impressive, I would say. It's the first time I've got students get into things in the first 10 seconds. Let's see.
Me. Thank you.
You see the, here we go. This is the one that one of you said. One major drawback of mashups is the long-term reliability. Okay. So that basically breaks up the ecosystem. And the privacy was the very first thing, if I remember well. And then she goes, there was a very nice anecdotal story. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. There are two well-known examples of privacy violation. So this Tom Howard was the first people to show some of the Big Brother effects. So he searched for a common name on Amazon and captured a sample of 250,000 people with that name who had a wish list. Okay. Then he winnowed the list down to people who requested certain controversial books, such as George Orwell. Once he had the results, then he used the Yahoo People search, and he was able to find the exact street address. And then with Google Maps, he was able to pull up a satellite view of their homes. Then he sent one of them a copy of the book. So you can imagine you receive a book and then you understand. You can read about the steps he took in his website, applefritter.com/bounds. So the things that you can do really infringe the privacy. Okay. And then there was another example. But essentially, this is it. This is a short lecture. And if you have any other question, please download this chapter and print it and read it. Yeah, there's another thing. There is an assignment or an activity, I think it's called, associated with this. And let me see if I can find it. Activity 19, Marsha. I haven't designed this. This was taken literally from Jonathan Briggs' SAG. So go through this. I think J.C. Nebel, so Jean-Christophe Nebel is going to make this available.
Yeah, we'll do that. Don't worry. We'll do it.
I'm happy for you to do that. For me, it's more important you understand the concepts. But I suppose that you can explore this.
Yeah, it's online.
Sorry?
It's already online.
It's already online.
Yeah.
Let's make sure I drop. You see?
Any other question? No? So you have 5, 10, 13 people out of 200.
You have the best one.
You go best. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.